Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter. Baughan. With me, as always, Dylan, Ben, Connor. College football week 1 preview today. Before we get into the episode, we're brought to you by SeatGeek. Download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use code KarterKast, $20 off your first purchase. $50 minimum purchase required. Terms and conditions do apply. Use code KarterKast at SeatGeek today. $20 off your first purchase. Dylan.
Yeah, purchase some tickets. Theater showing at the local AMC for the Connor Stallions documentary. Always great to recap a historic run. Completely clean national championship. And got my tickets through SeatGeek. Code KarterKast, $20 off.
We talked about it before we started. I don't care about the documentary at all. I don't.
It was a snooze fest. Unbiased, it was like nothing. It was cool to see him talk, but there was no real new information. One interesting point, I was not going to bring this up, but Dave Portnoy said that Connor Stallions told him that it was him on the CMU sideline, and Stallions is denying that it was him. So either Stallions lied to Portnoy for clout, or Portnoy sold out Stallions when he wasn't supposed to. Kind of an interesting storyline there.
What if both are true?
My brain's in a pretzel. This is too early.
College football week 1. College football week 1 preview. So we're going to go through the top 4 games of the week. Then we'll talk about if there's any other storylines, best bets we want to talk about, and anything else before we get into it. Dylan?
We're back. This is it. Like, last week was a little bit of a preview. It was nice we got an upset, but this is it. And it really starts Thursday. I know it's still technically. I mean, there's some good games Thursday.
Thursday, you got Carolina, Minnesota, Colorado, North Dakota State. What else we got on Thursday? NC State, Western. Oh yeah. But there's just a lot of teams I want to see. Like, I know it's a lot of bad teams that are playing, but I still just want to see, okay, what does Grayson McCall look like in an NC State uniform? What does Max Johnson look like playing for Carolina? That's actually a better game since it's Power 4 football against each other, but what does Max Johnson look like at UNC? There's just a lot of questions we'll finally get some answers to week 1. And the best part is I can't wait to overreact to everything. I guarantee you we'll be here next week being like, I don't know, I think Florida State might be the worst team in football after they go 0-2 to Boston College.
Well,
that's a real possibility.
Mac Brown already came out and said we're playing 2 quarterbacks all season for Carolina, so can't wait to see that too. We're so
all
back.
Season?
Season.
He was like, we'd like to do it all season if we can. I was like, Mac, if you got 2, you've got none. Yeah, give me a break.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
Well, don't worry. BYU's got the same approach, so it's going to be a great season in Provo.
It's all right. Committee.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Running back by committee does not work the same as quarterback by committee. Anyhow, let's get into it. Let's start off. Georgia, Clemson in Atlanta. Georgia minus 13.5 right now. They're favored by 13.5 points against the Clemson Tigers right now. Connor, I'll start with you.
You know, some people would look at this line and say 13.5 is too much. Say, why is Georgia this big of favorites over Clemson? Because Clemson's ranked top 10 preseason, right? Aren't they 9th or something? Did I see that? I don't think it's big enough. I think Georgia is going to come out and dog walk Clemson the entire game. We went over this in the ACC preview. We don't have to hash it all out again. Clemson lost all 4 defensive starters up front. A couple star linebackers, Jeremiah Trotter gone. Secondary is so young. I think Clemson, they're not going to be a terrible team. But to come out week 1, your first game against people that aren't, on the other side of practice, I think Georgia is just going to stomp them. I really do. And I think Clemson's defense, they're young. They're going to need a couple tune-ups before they really find their step. Georgia's got NFL-ready guys, NFL-ready O-line. Carson Beck's going to have all day. He's going to spread the ball around. And I don't think Clemson's defense is ready for this. And I'm also not a Cade Klubnik guy. He might, there might be a couple cool moments, but I think Clemson's going to lose by 2 scores minimum.
I don't know how you can be so confident. And this is, I love you guys. Karter, I love you. Ben, I love you. Connor, I love you. But this is, you can't be sure about anything week 1. So to come out here and say, like, Georgia's going to blow them out, like, that boggles my mind. If anything, I would expect the games to be closer.
Now, the majority of the games I've previewed, I agree with you, yes. But this game in particular, I just have a feeling it could get out of control quickly.
The only thing I will disagree with you there, Dylan, is I think you can preview Clemson a little bit because this is really the same roster. They're just running it back.
And that's fair, right? I think this game, it's not crazy to say that Clemson has a better defense than Georgia. At least causes more havoc. Average about 2 turnovers a game last year.
They lost everyone.
Karter just said that it's the same team.
On offense, maybe. Clemson's defense lost 4 defensive starters on the defensive line. Jeremiah Trotter's gone. A couple guys in the secondary.
Georgia lost people, too, on both sides of the ball.
Georgia was 80th in defensive returning production. So even if we are getting uncertainties here, I trust Clemson's defense more. It's really a fluky turnover away from this being a close game, and I think Clemson can do that. I don't trust Klubnik. I want that on the record. I don't trust this Clemson offense, but the defense will keep them in the game. 14-0 would not be a crazy score.
I was going to say this is a defense-heavy game because I know we're going to say like, oh, Clemson, Georgia are losing a lot on the defensive side of the ball, and they are. But is that going to change them from being really good on the defensive side of the ball? I don't think so for either of these teams. So I think this is a game, especially in week 1, I think it favors defenses early in the season. I think defenses are more ready to go, whereas offenses are still kind of trying to find their groove. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Georgia's offense look a little clunky at first, maybe in week 1. I still like Georgia to win, but I think it's a close game. I think Clemson covers that number. I think it's a close game. Georgia wins. It's a low scoring game. Not as low scoring as last time when they played, when that was horrific. But it'll be slightly higher scoring, but not dramatic. Like I think this could be like a 21-17 Georgia win. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, and the one thing about this game too is, especially about all 4 of these games that we're going to talk about, you could include Penn State, West Virginia in this too, is these are the early tone setters of the season. You know, last year we had Georgia, or was it last season Georgia, Oregon, when they got blown out, or was that 2 years ago?
I think that was 2. That
was 2 years ago. So yeah, in Georgia, Oregon, Georgia blows them out. You realize, okay, Georgia's the best team in football this season. These early games can swing momentum for the season like crazy too. We saw that Georgia Clemson game a few years ago. That game stunk, but Georgia pulls it out. That gives them momentum to go on and win a national title.
And I think the point that we want to bring home here as well, and we saw this with Florida State, is like no matter what team loses this game, it matters, but you still can get in the playoff, and that's the beauty of the 12-teamer. It's like this game matters. It's important, obviously. It sets the tone, like you said, but it isn't a deal breaker. And that's the beauty. You get these tough games now at the beginning of the year. I love it. I think Clemson's floor is high. I think the ceiling's low. And the defense is going to be able to keep teams from blowing them out. And that's what I think we see here.
Man, I don't know if Clemson's floor is that high.
I don't either. I'm telling you.
I think the defense elevates it. The defense elevates that floor, though.
I think the defense is going to be really good.
I can't see how you trust Clemson's defense week 1 against Georgia more than you trust Georgia's defense.
Saying.
Like, I don't know. I don't see how you're coming to that conclusion. If anything, the way I look at it is, Clemson has a lot of talent on defense, but they're young, they're inexperienced, they've never played together. You think they're going to rise up to the challenge week 1, some of their first ever snaps in college football, or their first ever time playing together as a unit against Carson Beck and an NFL O-line in Georgia? I can't see how you have confidence in that. That's my issue.
I don't think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. I think that's the thing. You look at, offensive and defensively, the second best in penalty yards that they allowed. That's a coaching thing to a certain extent, no matter if you have young guys. Like that is instilled spring camp, fall camp. I don't worry about that. This team last year, like we said, created havoc. One turnover, Clemson could force one turnover, and that's the only turnover of the game. That's the difference between a 1 and 2 score game right there. So I think I don't feel super confident either. Like, I'm not going to bet this game. I'm going to watch and be tuned in. But I think that defense, even though it's young, it elevates that floor for Clemson. Don't trust the offense one bit, though. I'm with you guys there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Let's do a classic segment. Score predictions. Clemson, Georgia. Ben.
I said it earlier, but I'm going to go Georgia 21-17. And I think that's a win for Clemson. Like,
yes.
You come out of that game, like, even covering. If Clemson were to cover this game, not that they're thinking about that, they cover this game, you lose by like 10, you go, okay, great. That's a win for us. We're a good team.
Connor.
I'm going to go Georgia 31, Clemson 13.
Sounds kind of right, though. I could see that score on the score bug. I can be honest.
I have
Don't
Georgia.
You see it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I do see it because I have Georgia 31, Clemson 17.
But don't you see it where it's like, oh, Clemson's only down 10. They're only down 1 score. Klubnik pick 6. Klubnik strip sack on the 10-yard line. Georgia runs it in. Game over. Like that just feels right.
I also feel like 31-17 that's gonna be my score because I feel like that same thing's gonna happen, but it's gonna matter if you got 14.5, 14, or 13.5.
Oh yeah.
And someone's getting screwed on either side of that on a last second Cade Klubnik pick 6 or something stupid like that. Dylan, score prediction.
Georgia 14, Clemson 3. This is a Dylan masterclass. I'm going to be locked in the whole
Big
game.
Ten football.
No scoring. Yes.
Yeah, this is Big Ten football, week 1 in Atlanta.
Between the 20s, Dylan.
Yeah.
Watch this game be like 58 to like
Yeah, it's just a shootout. Cade Klubnik makes a Heisman case for himself.
It's like Ole Miss versus the Big 12.
Oh, that's great.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Miami, Florida. Miami's currently a 2.5-point favorite against Florida in the Swamp right now. I'll start with you, Dylan.
This is tough because I'm high on Florida. I have Miami winning the ACC. The Swamp's a tough place to play. I think Florida keeps this one a little bit closer than what people think. I think that this Florida team is better than what people are giving them credit for. The secondary, a lot of defensive transfers, a high ceiling. We don't know what we're going to get with this defense. And maybe there's some credence to Cam Ward taking time to adjust to new scenery in Miami. I think Miami squeaks it out, but I don't think it's going to be Miami pulling away. Like I said, the Swamp. Tough. This is going to be a great game.
And also previewing Miami for this game is almost impossible because it's just a completely new roster almost, it feels like. And so it's like, okay, I'm just betting on the potential of Cam Ward being great, which I think he is going to be great. I think Miami will be playing in the ACC title game, but playing in the Swamp, game 1, you coming from Washington State. Look, you're playing in half-empty stadiums against Cal, UCLA, even USC, and then you got to go play in the Swamp game 1. This game's going to be a lot closer than people realize. A lot of people are down on Florida. People are saying, oh, Florida, 4 wins, 3 wins, Billy Napier going to be fired. I don't think Florida's going to be that great. But playing in the Swamp game 1, every Florida fan's going to lie to themselves and say, oh, we have a chance to compete this year. They're going to keep this game close. This game's not going to be Miami by 20+. I think Miami wins on a last-second field goal.
That's fair. And I think that Florida, very much their game plan is going to be dink and dunk their way down this defense. You don't really have to go deep on them. Miami's defense is they're competent.
Don't worry about that. Graham Mertz can't go deep.
He's not throwing it downfield. Yeah, it's going to be dink and dunk. The deciding factor is going to be Florida's defense. Can they contain Cam Ward? Can they keep Miami from going over top? I think they can. I really think Florida keeps this one close.
Connor.
So when I first started previewing Miami for the ACC preview, obviously I was very high on them. I also had them to win the ACC and all this stuff. You look at their schedule after this: 3 cupcakes: Florida A&M, Ball State, USF.
USF's sneaky good. USF's traps.
Okay.
Good offense.
Three very good winnable games then. But this game, week 1 in Florida, this is the one I had circled where it's like, I think Miami's going to be great. I think Cam Ward has it. I think he has all the tools. He has the O-line. He has the weapons. But oftentimes it takes good teams a week or 2 to hit their stride. And to start off in Florida like this, I think we could see some early mistakes, some early turnovers from a team with Miami. And that doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to be great this year. But week 1, I'm with you guys. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. There's going to be some growing pains. And you said we can't preview Miami. You're right. They never played together. Transfer here, transfer there. Cam Ward in, Damian Martinez in. Just transfers everywhere. They will gel together. It might take some time. It might take 3.5 quarters. I think Miami squeaks out a close one, and I think they get a real scare. Even if they lose, I'm not going back on my Miami opinion.
No.
Even if they lose, I'm still picking Miami to win the conference. I'm not going to overreact, but I think this is going to be close. I like Miami probably about 3 or 4 points, Carter. I think you're right.
To speak to that real quick, Connor, even if Miami loses to this Florida team at the Swamp, you don't walk away from it being Miami's a bad team. Like with Florida State, we have questions about Florida State. Miami, I would not walk away like that.
Let me ask you this. Let's say, because we saw Florida State choked against Georgia Tech. Let's say Miami loses in the Swamp, which is very possible.
Yeah.
And Clemson gets dog walked by Georgia in Atlanta this Saturday.
Carolina ACC champs.
The everyone's talking about how bad the ACC is. That's like, why are we giving this team a bye in the first round? Why do they deserve a top 4 seed? Meanwhile, NC State wins by like 35 against Western Carolina. I'm sitting there like, Ben, thoughts on this game?
Honestly, I am very much in agreement with you guys that I think Miami is a team, even if you believe they're going to be really good this year, it's going to be kind of clunky early on. Especially, I could see a lot of these guys, things aren't gelling. It's kind of like, oh no, is something wrong with Miami? But I could see a scenario in which they're down in the fourth quarter in the swamp and Cam Ward just makes a few plays that makes you go, oh, okay. That's why people are high on Miami. That's why people are high on Cam Ward. I was kind of pumping the brakes on the Miami like hype train a little bit, but I do like Miami to win this game. I think it's not always pretty, but I think in the end, like it's one of those, I wouldn't say like iconic, that's hyperbolic, but like where you're like, whoa. It's like a Cam Ward moment where you're like, okay, that guy took over at the end of this game in the swamp. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I think them having Damian Martinez too is something we can't overlook. But we just don't know how it looks. These guys are coming from Pac-2 football, not even Pac-12. They're coming from Pac-2 football and going into the swamp game 1. I'm curious, but real quick score predictions, quick fire, Dylan.
Oh, you caught me on the spot there. Skip me.
Connor.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Miami 24, Florida 21. It's chalk. It's basic, but I'm feeling 24-21.
Ben?
That was my score, 24-21.
Wow. All right, Dylan.
I'm going to go Florida 27, Miami 24.
Oh.
Close one.
I'm going to go Miami 31, Florida 28. I think it's a tie ball game. Cam Ward drives him down the field. It's a game winner at the buzzer, and I think Miami wins wins at Florida. I think we see that line go to like 3 points before the game, and people push on that field goal.
There's going to be some growing pains. I'm telling you, yeah. Miami's not going to look perfect. There's going to be some kinks. There's going to be some turnovers. There's going to be some bad snaps, whatever for a team like this. Don't lose faith. Everyone on the Miami train with us, do not lose faith. The U is back this year, no matter what.
Moving on. I know we talked about Clemson, Georgia. That's the marquee game. It does suck it's at noon. That stinks it's the noon game. That should be a night game.
It's like an 8 p.m. kickoff. Come on.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm good with good football at any time of the day. It doesn't matter when it's
I don't like the top game of the day being at noon, but I sneaky think this might be one of the most anticipated games. Notre Dame A&M. A&M's a 3-point favorite right now at Kyle Field. We get the Mike Elko return. He comes back to A&M. Mike Elko versus Riley Leonard, his former quarterback at Duke. Ben, thoughts on this game?
I like A&M a lot in this spot because when you look at it like Mike Elko, right, versus Riley Leonard, that's an intriguing storyline that's going on here. I think I've yet to see. I was a big fan of Notre Dame last year, and I felt kind of burned a little bit by them. I just am not sure if they're ranked 7th in the country.
Yep.
Like, what has Marcus Freeman done to make you think that his team can be 7th in the country? Especially when, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think Sam Hartman is a better quarterback than Riley Leonard is.
That was going to be my question, Ben.
I don't hate that.
I had it literally written down.
Riley Leonard, he's not bad. He's a pretty good quarterback, but I feel like people are like, oh, they got Riley Leonard. They got the star quarterback now. And I'm like, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see that. And I think, right, you're getting like this is of course like silly, but it's like with Duke, it's like we're asking like the Patriots, like, is this Brady or Belichick for the Patriots dynasty? When we're talking about just a 2-year run where Duke doesn't suck. It's like who contributed more to that? I would say Mike Elko was a bigger factor in that. Obviously, both were major, probably the top 2 factors. But I think Mike Elko with the Texas A&M talent inspires me a little more, especially in Kyle Field, than Riley Leonard at Notre Dame. Especially when I think that you can attribute Duke's success more to Mike Elko than Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard's still a good quarterback. He's not an upgrade to Sam Hartman. I think Sam Hartman was a better quarterback. I think this is another one of those like Notre Dame teams that's like good, right? They're going to win most of the games on their schedule. They could make the playoffs certainly, but they're not going to beat Texas A&M at their place. Mike Elko also showed at Duke that he can turn things around quick. I expect him, especially with the resources and talent he has at A&M, to turn him around quick. I think they're ready week 1, especially at home.
That's the thing. Are we sure Riley Leonard's an upgrade over Sam Hartman?
I don't know.
No. I'll say no.
No.
He doesn't grade out very well. Leonard did not grade out very well.
The passing stats aren't great for Riley Leonard. The rushing game's phenomenal.
Coming off an injury too, right?
Yep.
Pretty serious injury last year. I mean, it's not like an ACL or an Achilles or anything, but like something can be said for that as well. He missed the rest of the season. I think there is. I don't think there's a huge difference, but I would take Sam Hartman as far as like a quarterback I trust more for Notre Dame at least.
I agree.
I would too. I mean, maybe Sam Hartman would just benefited from that stupid Wake Forest mesh offense, the dumbest thing in football.
You don't like the delayed handoff, dude? Come on.
Oh, could you imagine?
And the hair.
Could you
Ben loves a quarterback with a beard.
I was gonna say, does he have abs?
Abs and a beard.
Could you imagine being a running back in Wake's mesh system? How annoying that would be. You have no steam going into your runs. You're just, I'm going to stand. Okay, now I got to run.
Get those feet chopping.
No momentum.
Get those feet chopping, Karter.
Oh my
Chop
god.
the feet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I agree with you, Ben. I don't think Sam Hartman to Riley Leonard, I don't think that's an upgrade. I really don't. Sam Hartman was a great college quarterback. He's in the NFL, he's a backup and whatnot, but he was a great college quarterback. What are we so positive that Marcus Freeman's done? He had talent last year. How does it not work out? Honestly, there's really no reason they shouldn't have beaten Ohio State. They had that game in their hands and they really blew it.
Had 10 men on the field.
I think based off the talent, I think they should have been a tournament or not tournament, a playoff team last year.
It's I think August and he's still thinking college basketball.
Yeah, no, I think
fresh off the UVA message boards.
I think they based off the talent going into the season, I was like, this is a playoff team, and they just obviously weren't, and they were just kind of uninspiring.
And the good thing for Notre Dame, too, is this is probably the hardest game on their schedule, probably. Their floor this season is 8-4 because their schedule is so easy. And they have 4 average to above average hard games this year. And I really don't see them losing more than 4 games. Even if they lose this one, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I do think they can't get blown out. If you get blown out by Mike Elko and A&M, then people are going to start calling for Marcus Freeman's job. Connor, thoughts on this game?
I'll keep this quick. I think we're crowning Notre Dame with a top 10 ranking. They're 7th right now in the preseason polls. For what? For a lot of unproven commodities, a lot of unproven talent, led by a quarterback in Riley Leonard, who we just went over. We don't believe in as much as Sam Hartman, who they had last year. Marcus Freeman, great guy. I don't know if I trust him to lead Notre Dame to 11-1 or something like that, even with this cakewalk of the schedule they have. I like A&M here. I think they have more depth, more overall talent. I think a lot of positions A&M is just better at. And Mike Elko, it's your guy, Karter. Can't you just see him coming in? Dog walking Notre Dame? Not a big Mike Elko guy.
No, I think Mike Elko is fantastic. You guys see the message boards? The A&M ones are I don't like how Mike Elko's overweight. What are you talking about? He's a football coach.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the perfect one. That's the perfect stereotype.
Who are the 2 best coaches in the NFL in the last decade? Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. What are we doing here?
That's fair.
Put a bow on it. I like A&M. I do like A&M. I think Notre Dame will be okay, like you said, Karter, with that schedule. But this weekend, I like A&M.
Do you believe in Connor Wegman?
I don't know. I haven't watched enough of him to form an opinion, to be completely honest.
We'll find out quick.
Yeah.
We'll find out quick this week because the A&M loves to pass the ball. A 59% passing rate last year. They play quick, over 72 plays a game. If you don't know about Wegman, we're going to find out this week. And he graded out well last year before his foot injury, but he played, I think Auburn was probably the toughest game he had. I think that Texas A&M could blow out this Notre Dame team. Just by the way they play, if Wegman does have it, they go over top this defense. It's possible.
This is not good because this is starting to look like a college game day graphic show. Because I mean, it's
everybody's
just,
agreeing with each other.
It's just like Miami close win, Georgia sneaky barely cover, but still like them over Clemson. Oh yeah, we all think A&M's going to beat Notre Dame.
I think they'll blow them out.
I don't think
it'll be
blow
close.
them out.
It won't be close. I'll go 31-13. Is that a blowout?
That's a blowout.
That's a blowout.
That's a blowout when it's a 3-point spread.
Look, I like Mike Elko, but I'm not confident enough in A&M to like blow them out. And I'm also not like I don't think Notre Dame's bad. I just think they're not like fantastic.
I just don't trust Notre Dame on the road like this. This is one of the craziest environments in college football. They got a new head coach. There's new life in A&M. Place is going to be rocking. But we've seen Riley Leonard can win in those big games.
Yeah,
he's not afraid to show in those big games. He's a big game player.
I think I'm more excited about this game. Like, I think this is the game of the day.
I do too.
I don't know, like, just because, well, honestly, playing neutral site, like, that just takes the buzz out of everything. And it's like, I don't know, Georgia Clemson, like, it's a good game. Like, I think it'll be close, right? That's what I said. But like, I don't think it's going to be a fun watch. I think this could be a fun watch.
And it helps. It's a night game. It's the night game.
A night game at Kyle Field versus a noon game in Mercedes-Benz. Like, this game has more juice to it.
Dylan. We might need to put you in a retirement home.
Why?
If games could start at 6 a.m., you'd be happy.
And that's why I like Pacific time for watching. Games kick off at what? 9 a.m.
10 a.m.
in Vegas.
10 a.m.
Yeah,
for Ben and I.
It's beautiful. I like having that. And then the night games start at like 8. Going back to this game, the last thing I want to say, I am watching this game with the intent of learning more about Texas A&M, more so than Notre Dame, because their offense, I think 10 of their 11 starters are coming from within the program, but they kind of had their transfer portal haul on the defense. I'm interested to see which one performs better. Is it the continuity? Is it playing the portal? This is a very good game no matter what time it's being played at.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do this. Score predictions real quick, Dylan.
Texas A&M 31, Notre Dame 13.
Ben.
A&M 28, Notre Dame 20.
Connor.
I'm going to go A&M. I'm going to go A&M 27, Notre Dame 20.
I'm going A&M 28, Notre Dame 27.
Ooh, that close, huh?
I think Notre Dame covers. I think they get the cover, but I think if you took A&M money line, you hit. But I don't think everyone's gonna be like, oh, I don't want to lay minus 145 with A&M. I'm just gonna take A&M -3, and they get screwed by that. So no one wins. Vegas cashes in on both. Exactly. So let's move on. USC, LSU in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. The spread, I believe, is LSU favored by 4.5 points against the Trojans. Connor, I'll start with you on this game in Vegas.
I'm not ready to buy in on Miller Moss Heisman talk after a bowl game. That's my number one storyline from this game is people are ready to crown him as.
There's unnecessary roughness. Barstool. I think it's Liam Blutman that's in on Miller Moss. Buddy, you've watched him play a bowl game. How can you make these statements just watching a bowl game that we could argue doesn't even really matter?
But please, Karter.
Didn't someone here say that Tennessee was going to be a 10-11 win team and make the playoffs?
My gosh! But I said question mark at quarterback. We don't know what we're getting, even though I crowned him Nico Heisman. That has nothing. I mean, that's just fansmanship. No, that's nothing. No, 5-star. 5-star.
Okay, what about Kansas State?
What about him? I don't care about him.
Avery Johnson plays well in the bowl game.
I'm not. They were my overrated team.
You have them in your playoff prediction.
So I don't have them winning the Big 12.
That's it. Whatever.
That's great.
Connor, talk about this game.
Yeah. I'll keep this quick. Like I said, don't believe in Miller Moss after one bowl game. That's the main factor for me in this game is that there's so many unknowns. Out of all the games we're going to preview today, out of all the games I've looked at, this is the one I feel the least confident about. I can genuinely say that because, like, yes, I don't believe in Miller Moss. I also don't love Nussmeier on LSU. It's like I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. I trust the rest of LSU's roster a lot more than USC's. That's why I lean -4 with the points here. I like LSU to win this game, even though it's in a neutral site. Probably, I don't know what this fan split's going to be, but I still lean LSU here.
Am I crazy to say it might be more LSU fans?
That's what I was about to say. I didn't know if that'd be wild.
Labor Day weekend in Vegas. You're telling me
yeah.
you're in Baton Rouge. You're like, hey man, it would be pretty sweet to go to Las Vegas for Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, top 25 matchup. Like, come on, guys, let's get the band back together.
Yeah, exactly.
I trust the pieces on LSU on both sides of the ball more than USC, and it honestly comes down to me not ready to trust USC's offense yet. So I'm gonna go LSU in this game.
USC's offense.
I'm telling you, Miller Moss, he could be great. I'm not gonna like back myself in a corner and say he's gonna suck, but I haven't seen it yet in a real game. Come on.
Wow. My problem is USC's defense. How could we ever trust USC's defense?
They got rid of Grinch. That's the biggest upgrade they've ever gotten on defense is getting rid of
I understand they got rid of Grinch. I totally get that. They are still terrible.
I don't trust them.
They're not going to go from the 110th off defense in college football all the way to a top 20.
Well, Carter, there's a reason
trust
the total for
LSU?
this game there's a reason the total's 64.5. And all the other games we've talked about are like 45. Like, there's a reason for that. That's a given.
Can I break
I'm
news?
not going to say USC's defense is going to be awesome.
Okay,
please.
right.
No, please. Dylan.
Go ahead.
The Patriots quarterback room got a little worse today.
Joe Milton gone? Joe Milton gone? Question mark.
Drake may cut.
They released Bailey Zappi.
Oh no!
All right,
sad.
Oh, Zappy got cut.
Zappy got cut.
I think.
Oh no!
So
He's the best quarterback room in the league.
Is that the last segment we're going to do today? We're going to go through all like the 900 cuts that are going to be made today. Rank them.
Yeah.
Bonus episode.
But, Dylan, you were going to ask something about LSU real quick.
The defense for LSU it's a question as well. PFF has USC's defense actually power rated higher than LSU's. How are they doing that? I have no clue. We haven't seen either team play. But how much credence do you put into? We saw Nick Saban make his game day debut last week. I don't know if you watched or not. He said that Grant Nussmeier is a star quarterback, and he said that you always have to trust LSU's offense because I think the quote was, receivers fall off trees down in Louisiana. How much credence do you put into that coming from Nick Saban? Is that just him talking? Is he actually giving some coaching insight there? Because I kind of believe him.
Yeah, you can say that, but then also he's like Florida State's the best team in the ACC.
Yeah, that kind of hurts your credibility.
Yeah. Florida State,
me
a little overrated.
I don't. Good call. I don't trust either of these defenses quite yet. I hate to say it. It's not my style of football. Indoors, fast track. I like 64.5. I like the over. But I think LSU pulls this one out. I'm excited to see what we get from Nussmeier. And for some reason, I just believe in him more than I believe in Miller Moss.
See, I actually think USC upsets them in this game.
Wow.
I do too.
I think USC wins this game. I have way too many questions about LSU. There's a lot more turnover than people realize. And why I just don't think I'm going to be able to believe that, okay, you lose 2 first-round NFL wide receivers. You lose the Heisman, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be this great offense and this great team. Look, Brian Kelly's a great coach. But what, Dylan?
They got C.J. Daniels from Liberty, though. I mean, he was not a bad receiver at Liberty.
Look, they're going to have good receivers. They're LSU. They're a powerhouse SEC team.
They fall off trees. Receiver trees.
Is it going to gel game 1?
Route trees.
There you go.
Route trees. I mean, we're going to figure that out, I guess. But is it going to for USC?
Yeah, because they've played together. Miller Moss played snaps. He's thrown to this team last season. He was in practice with this team last season, and he's been with Lincoln Riley.
I'm pretty sure Nussmeier's had snaps with LSU, though.
Yeah,
he hasn't started, I don't think, but he's played.
I think, although I have questions about how great Miller Moss is too, I have less questions about Miller Moss than I do Nussmeier. I think
is it
USC,
by much, though?
Not a ton, but like I favor USC in that way, and I also think that like it's missing the full scope to be a little bit like, okay, I have issues with the USC defense, and not look and go, LSU's defense is really bad too. And weirdly, I don't think USC's defense is going to be fixed this year, but like I honestly think there's more dudes on USC's defense than LSU's defense. Like, I don't love the talent level on LSU's defense. I like the talent level more on USC's defense.
When's the last time we could say that? There's more dudes on USC's defense than LSU. When's the last time that's even been
I think the defensive coordinator was bad last year, but like I for LSU, but I also don't think they had a ton of dudes, and I don't think they like went out and got overwhelmingly better personnel wise.
Yeah.
I just think for that reason I like USC. I think both teams score a lot of points still, but I like USC to win this game just because I think all the concerns you have about USC, you're forgetting they exist. The same exact concerns are at the same level with LSU.
Yeah, and this is to my point here. One, I believe I agree with you there, Ben. I believe Miller Moss. I trust Miller Moss more, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think this is going to be a classic Big 12 football game where whoever has the ball last wins. It's going to be played in the 30s, maybe sneaky into the low 40s. I mean, it's just going to be nonstop. I like USC to win this game 38-35. I think USC is going to have the ball last. I think both defenses are going to struggle stopping the ball, and I think USC is just going to have the ball last. Miller Moss drives them down the field and wins the game.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go. This is tough. I think LSU is going to win football. This. No. I'm going to go LSU 35, USC 28.
I'm going USC 21, LSU 35.
Yeah, I think LSU covers.
Ben.
I'm going USC 45-41.
I love it.
And the Miller Moss hype train, the Heisman hype, is going to be through the roof. And then he's just going to be decent, and they go 8-4.
Then we bet against
and then we look back and go, wasn't that funny? We thought Miller Moss was going to win the Heisman. Like, he's pretty good, but like that was absurd. I think that happens.
If you believe in either of these quarterbacks in this game, you think, oh, they're going to be great quarterbacks this season. You take their Heisman odds before this game kicks off. Because the winner of this game, it's a standalone Sunday game. Everybody's going to be watching. Everyone's going to believe that whichever quarterback, because they're going to put up points in this game. They're going to put up stats. They're going to look great. The winning quarterbacks, their Heisman odds are going to drop to like plus 800 immediately. Immediately after the game. So anyhow, all right, let's do a parlay and then we'll get out of here. Let's do it. Week 1, our first parlay. I'm glad we didn't do a week 0 one because I think we would have gotten toasted.
Mine would have won. Double under. Shout out Karter.
Yeah. I Georgia Tech plus 10.5. So
maybe it would have been okay then.
Yeah, maybe we should have. Maybe we messed up. Week 1, I can start off. I got Arizona, New Mexico over 58.5. New Mexico's not a good football team. I think they lied to us in that first half. I think they're a bad football team across the board. They gave up 35 points to Montana State. They're not going to be able to stop Fafita and T-Mac. I got over in this game. I think there's going to be a ton of points. I also don't believe in Arizona's defense as well.
Arizona will score 70 points because I've seen Nick Howell's defense. He's a pathetic defensive coordinator, and Bronco Mendenhall doesn't have enough balls to do anything about it. Anyway, he had a chance to get rid of him. He quit. He literally quit his job at Virginia because he didn't want to fire his defensive coordinator because it was so bad. And then he just hires him back. Anyway, that's a separate thing. Yeah, but I agree with that and think Arizona scores like 70 points. I like Vanderbilt plus 13.5 because we love there's nothing like we love Virginia Tech. They're this fantastic team that went 6-6 last year, and we're like crowning them. We're like, oh my goodness, look at them. I just think it's one of those situations in which we buy too much hype into a team. You see Pat McAfee having them as a top 4 seed, winning the ACC. Like, that's absurd. That's not going to happen. I think Vanderbilt keeps this like 31-20. Like, I think it's enough. Just like Vanderbilt's not good. Vanderbilt won't be good. They'll be the worst team in the SEC. Virginia Tech will win still like 8 games or something. But I think this is a moment in which we pump the brakes a little bit on Virginia Tech. I love Vanderbilt. Plus
is this a hater pick?
Ooh.
Partially.
Well, personal bias there.
Partially, but I also like it.
Then I'll go Minnesota money. I'm just kidding.
So this one hurts because my pick for the last 2 weeks has been West Virginia plus 10.5, and that line has shot down in the last 2 days. It's 8.5 on most books now. There's even a 7.5 out there right now. I'm still going to take it. I'm going to go West Virginia plus 8.5, even though I wanted it 10.5. I'm going 8.5. Terrific O-line. Last year, third best in the country, 10 sacks allowed. 80% of that O-line returns. Garrett Green does not turn the ball over. Only 4 picks, almost 800 rushing yards last year. Dual threat guy. Penn State's going to be fine. That O-line only returns 1 starter. New OC, new DC. I think Drew Aller's going to be able to throw the ball down the field more this year. They're going to trust him a little bit more. But in week 1, he's going to get more opportunities too. Yeah. But in week 1, I don't see it. I think West Virginia keeps this close, and I think that's why we see the line moving so much. In Morgantown, I think West Virginia keeps this a 1-score game.
I wouldn't be opposed to West Virginia winning outright.
There might be a sprinkle. Wow. There might be a sprinkle in there.
I agree. I don't think they win, but I think they keep it very close. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they win.
I don't think that's crazy, Dylan.
I'm going Jacksonville State, Coastal Carolina under 55.5. Jacksonville State had one thing to hang their hat on last year, and it was that defense. You give me that against a Grayson McCallis Coastal Carolina offense, I'm bought in. I also think Jacksonville State's offense is anemic of sorts, and they're not going to be able to score either, regardless of how bad Coastal's defense is. So under 55.5.
That's a great pick.
What can I say?
Dylan, you've been in the lab.
I was bad. It was way too much time in the lab.
When all of a sudden, when your first words were Jacksonville State,
we're back.
I pulled out my phone. I already have FanDuel up.
It took every ounce of me not to roll my eyes.
That's how you know you're a true college football fan. Is we talk about Georgia, Clemson, we talk about these games. That's where we have the fun. Jacksonville State.
One thing I thought about. I'm glad. None of these are Thursday games, right? No one did a Thursday game.
No.
Okay. Because the other thing was, I was hoping no one did a Thursday game. If it was, I kind of don't hate Western Carolina to cover the spread against NC State, just because I think NC State, one, they're not going to show their entire offense. They're going to keep things pretty limited against Western Carolina, and I think they just win like 31-0.
And Grayson McCall's going to be on a short leash with that injury. Like if they're up 20, they're pulling him.
Yeah, they're not. They're just going to drain the clock, and it's going to 2 o'clock. College football 25.
Jacksonville State is on Thursday, 8 p.m.
Oh, Dylan.
But we won't have to worry about it because it's going to be a winner.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's start off 1-0.
I love it.
That's going to suck when I have to put it. We're going to have to put it in a new parlay on Saturday. I'm going to get it Friday morning. Okay, I got my pick, and it's going to be freaking – it's going to be a MAC under. I do like Kent State plus 24. I think that's way too many points against a crappy Pitt team, by the way.
Pitt's going to be bad.
Any thoughts? Like 30-second thoughts? Carolina pull it out tomorrow night, guys? Or Thursday night, sorry. How we feeling? Any early Minnesota thoughts? I think they might have it. That line shifted. Minnesota starting running back. Kind of been banged up in practice. All they do is run the ball.
I think UNC has more talent.
Yeah.
Am I crazy to like the under in that game? Because
no, you're not.
I think it's just going to be bell cow backs running the ball every single play. I think
it's going to be gross.
I don't think we see that ball in the air more than 3 times a drive.
Especially if Mac wants to play 2 quarterbacks. Connor Harrell comes in. That's a guy that's going to run. He's going to run the ball. He's not going to throw a lot.
They're not having him throw the ball. No shit.
No.
All right, and then before we close up shop here, let's do Duke Elon preview for the next 2 hours. Really dive into this. I
was hoping to get into the Carolina Panthers cuts today. Rank them 1 through 90.
Can't believe we announced cuts.
We made it, guys.
Speaking of C.J. Henderson was cut by the Texans.
No, kind of called that.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, but we did make it, Connor. We're here.
We did. I can't believe it. Starts Thursday. Kicks off. Everybody gear up.
Jeff Okuda, CB1. I'm just having my own conversation with myself.
Let's get it. Let's wrap this up. Yeah. All right, that's it. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to download the SeatGeek app. Use code KarterKast, $20 off your first purchase. Follow us all on Twitter, social media everywhere, at KarterKast on everything. And we'll be back. We got 2 more NFC previews to do. 2 more NFC previews. And Dylan, maybe a live stream on Saturday.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Maybe
subscribe.
Maybe a Saturday night recap.
Whatever you want, Carter. I'm on call.
Follow at KarterKast on everything. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.